everyone. This is Pam Dunwald, and you may know me from Your Nurse Advocate Consulting as one of your nurse advocates. Starting a series, this is going to be a little different. So if you're thinking I'm going to share with you how I can help you or what the latest trends are or what kind of services we have, that's not what this series is all about. So I've decided to pull back the curtain, take you on a journey of how we got or how I got to become a nurse advocate. I've been an RN for over 40 years, and a lot of stories and things that I'm going to share. So we've called this series Tales from the Bedside, the journey of a nurse becoming a nurse advocate. And so nothing's going to be held back. I feel, in this day where everybody's so skeptical, everybody's, worried about the next thing that people are trying to sell them, or things that they think they're buying that's totally a scam. So this series is meant to be totally transparent to you. I want you to get to know me. I want to get to learn more about how I work, what my ethics are, and how I got there. So some of the stories are going to be heart-wrenching. Some of the stories are going to be had my blood boiling and made me very angry. Some of them really broke my heart, and some of them are funny. I'm going to share some ER stories that are extremely funny. So if you want to look behind the curtain and get behind the scenes, uh, pay attention to these episodes in these series, and they were all going to be titled Bedside Stories. So you'll be able to know what they are. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to get this ball rolling and get this started as far as how I became a nurse and how this journey began. So the journey to becoming a nurse advocate, I'm going to invite all of you, step into my world, see nursing, through the eyes of me, a dedicated professional involving into a fierce patient advocate. If you are my client, I am a dog with a bone, and I am not letting go until we get what we need. And you're going to learn more about that as we go along. So, this is a heartfelt series, that kind of joins my personal narrative with practical insights and just sharing all the experience that shapes my path towards towards patient advocacy as a nurse. So with each episode, we're going to uncover, like we said, the funny things, the tears, the unwavering commitment that I've learned and why, and just the pursuit to be able to show you that, with understanding, clarity, and, just a steadfast desire to serve those in need, what this is all about. So episode number 1, here we go, is Doubting Voices. I was told I never could be a nurse. That's the truth. So how, as a kid, I was oldest of 5, grew up in the city of Chicago. And so, very early in life, I was a Girl Scout, took first aid, always interested in rescuing every sick and injured animal in the neighborhood, painting tails of the squirrels different colors so I could have pet squirrels and call them by name, because I knew which squirrel they were because of the different color they had on their tail. Of course, every time it rained or whatever, I had to redo it. So I'm sure all the names got mixed up, and I was never calling the same squirrel the same name twice. But anyway, a couple of things that happened as a kid. I remember being 11, 12 years old. My girlfriend's brother in the neighborhood put his fist through a glass storm door. I knew from first aid, learning that this wasn't just a bleeding wrist injury. This was a artery, because it was just spurting out. And I'm sorry if I get graphic. If you don't like some of these things, then I'm going to caution you, disclaimer right front, that there may be things that might gross you out. So I just want to say that up front as we move along with this story. So if you have a weak stomach, I don't know if this is for you. But anyway, so it was spurting, pulsing in rhythm as this pulse. So I knew, through my training, that was an artery. I was able to grab onto his wrist, hold it above his head, and just hold it there until the ambulance came and his mom came home from work and that. So that was one of the early things. Never even thought about nursing at that. I remember my brother, one of my younger brothers, taken to the park, fell off the monkey bars, broke his arm. I had to get him home safely. And we lived probably about 4 or 5 blocks from the park that we lived. Another little brother opened up a thermos somehow. I was babysitting, so this is my bad. I'll be very upfront with you on this. I was in high school, was probably chatting on the phone, supposedly watching him. He got hold of a thermos, got it open somehow. He was a toddler and spilled hot soup on his leg, burned his leg. So I took care of that. Also, the same little brother, I was babysitting my parents' date night, Saturday night. They went out to dinner with their friends. He was very sick. At that time we didn't have no cell phones or anything, so I had to track them down to the restaurant, actually call the restaurant and said they needed to come home. My brother wasn't breathing very well, and I felt that he needed to go to the hospital. So all of these things go along as I was a kid, really makes sense hindsight looking at the natural evolution of things to become a nurse. But I never thought about being a nurse. That was not a dream of mine. My dream was to show dogs, raise dogs, have a kennel. We had Norwegian elk hounds. If you're not sure what they are, look those up and get a picture of those. But that's what we had. And so the summer between junior and senior year in high school, I actually went to dog grooming school, and that, anything to do with dogs. My goal was to be a vet. I wanted to go to college and be a vet. And that ended up getting kind of squashed. My dad, very old fashioned. Now we're talking about, I graduated high school in 1976. I'm a child of the 50s. And he told me, he says, girls aren't vets. And when I told him I wanted to go to the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana and become a vet, I mean, that just was kind of out of the question. He did not give me any kind of encouragement at all. So I kind of got discouraged. At that time, I had a high school boyfriend, and we'd been dating for a couple of years. And a woman that he introduced me to just really struck me. She really, I really admired her, and she was in nursing school. And I really thought a lot about how I saw her. We were at bingo one time, and someone was complaining of chest pain. She rushed right over there and kind of knew what to do. And I really respected her for that. I was scared to death of her. I was very intimidated by her. She actually asked me to drive her someplace one time using her car, and I actually got in the back seat of I'm sorry. She asked me to drive her somewhere, and I actually got in the back seat of my car because I was so intimidated by this woman. So needless to say, that was when I decided I wanted to become a nurse, not because I had all of these, great experiences, but because I admired her so much. And so more about that later in the next episode. So anyway, I announced to the whole world and to my family that I want to become a nurse. And my grandma, my mom's stepmom, she was a college graduate. She was an executive secretary. Now, I know that's not the appropriate term we would use these days, but that was what she called herself. And so what was important to her is that as I'm in high school, I needed to take shorthand and I needed to take typing, because if I wanted to be a successful woman in the work world, I needed to know those things, because those were essential skills. I ended up taking them because I was one of those kids that, oftentimes I did what I was told because that's how I was raised, and so didn't like them. The typing was okay, shorthand. That was like so far away from what I wanted to do, and I ended up not doing well in that class because in high school, we were very into sports, softball, and I was climbing a big backstop fence one time with my friends because we were too lazy to walk around to the opening. We were going to climb the fence in the outfield to get onto the field so we could just have a pickup game, a friendly game of softball. And I had on these engineer, bib overalls, and I'm going over the fence, and the top of the fences, had the wires where they were kind of like crossed like that. So they were pointy on top. My pants got caught, fell. My wrist went down on it, tore a hole in my wrist, and needless to say, spent the night in the hospital instead of playing softball that day. But I grabbed it. I wouldn't look at it. But so many things had happened. But my grandma said, you know what? When I was a kid, I threw up at everything. I threw up when I was scared. I threw up when I got yelled at. I threw up when I was having nightmares. My answer to anything negative happening to me was to throw up. And so my grandmother was very practical and said, I don't know how you're going to become a nurse. You can't do it. You throw up at everything. How are you going to be able to become a nurse? And she really, really did not hold back about the fact that she did not think that I could do it, that I couldn't make it. And I'm also one of these people that when you tell me I can't do something, I'm really bound and determined to show you that I can do something. That wasn't the only reason why I became a nurse. Again, it was because I really admired this other woman, and so I made the decision to go to nursing school, looked at everything. And so we're going to stop there because as we get into nursing school, we're going to hear some stories that really impacted me and about my growing up and my way of thinking because the way I grew up. So we're going to get into some, I'm starting to get into some stories, but I just thought this first episode was really important to just bring everybody up to speed, know a little bit about my background as a kid and how I made the decision to become a nurse. And like I said, I did not grow up dreaming about being a nurse. I wanted to raise dogs, show dogs, sell puppies, and become a vet. So we will see you back for episode 2 on Bedside Stories, the journey of a nurse becoming a patient advocate. We'll see you back here soon.